Part number 31334. That's a governor linkage rod for a 5-horse. And if you notice, there's a washer, a little thrust washer, that keeps the peened out pieces from digging into the bushing of the block. Remember to put that washer on, okay? And the way this thing works, you can see the end of the lever there. That acts on the governor spool. And what happens is as the engine revs, watch that spool. See how it raises up? Okay. That's how you keep the engine governed. When that thing is at a certain rate, the flyweights kick out and keep that spool at a certain distance. When you lose revs, the engine, because the governor spring on your linkage will give it more throttle, and it'll tend to want to come up even more. So it'll come up to keep that same spot where that linkage is. That's how a governor works. It just keeps on going back and forth a little bit. You don't even really notice it except when the engine hunts. But that governor is such that as whatever RPM is at, the flyweights will whip out centrifugal force and keep that spool at a certain distance. And it'll keep it fixed there. So if you run into heavy grass or heavy snow, depending on the engine, and it starts to lower down, since you already have the spring pressure on the lever, it'll pull the throttle back up until it reaches that same spot again and levels out. That's how the governor works. So in this case, the camshaft came out with the cover because it was stuck in the seal. So I'm going to take that out and put it back in. So I've got my two lifters here. The lifters will go back in the lifter bores. And then you'll notice the dot right there. The dot on that tooth. That right there. That one dot. Oh, let me see if I get a better picture of it. Where is it here? See that dot? That dot has to line up with the dot on the camshaft. And where's the dot on the camshaft? I believe... where is it? It's one of these teeth. Where the heck is it? Let me see. Where's that dot? Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. Hard to see. What I'll do... Oh, you know what it is? It's the line. Instead of having a dot, it has a line right here. See that line? That line lines up with the dot on the tooth in between. So that's where you line up the camshaft with the... Actually, you know what? No, I'm mistaken. I have the cam upside down. It's not in. So let me take the cam out. I'll put it back in the other way. You'll see the dots. The dots will line up, and I'll put it back together. So give me a minute. I'm going to put the lifters in. I'm going to take that cam out, I'm going to flip it over, I'm going to put it back in, and I'll show you guys. Alright, I'll be back in a minute. Alright guys, I have the camshaft back in, I put the two lifters in, and you can notice, it was that line that I saw on the other side. It's on both sides where the hole is. You can see there's a line right there, the line on the cam gear that lines up with the dot on the crank gear. And the way you can tell too is if you look at the camshaft, the lobes, there's no lift on the lobes at that point. So you stick your lifters in. I actually use assembly lube. I like using the Permatex assembly lube, the Ultra Slick. It holds the lifters up. When you put everything back together, it holds things together. So now that I have that together, here's the shim that goes on the crankshaft for the correct end play on the crankshaft. I've got this cover all set, ready to go. So I'm going to slide it back on. You can see the governor shaft is in. And when it functions, it'll be against that spool, and it'll move this way, all right? And as it moves, as it goes this way, meaning lower throttle, it turns the rod that way, and by turning it that way, it's giving it more throttle in order to make the thing give it more... Oh, there's my phone, hold on. I'll just let it ring. Anyway, sorry about that. So what happens is the governor spool, there's your spool, okay? Say it's running, it's in this position, okay? If that engine slows down, what's going to happen is the governor spool is going to go in. By going in, dropping, it's going to go like this. It's going to let the governor rod pull up this way. And by doing that, it's going to be giving you more throttle. It's going to increase the throttle until it evens back out again. So that's how governor works. Just keeps going in and out to to give you more or less throttle to keep that same position based on the governor spring. So I'll get to the governor adjustment in a minute. So let me put the cover on here. I'm just going to take that cover, flip it over, stick it on, and then I'll be back. Alright guys, talk about setting the governor now. Alright, I've got that governor shaft sticking through the linkage, okay? And probably better to put this part on when you have the cover off, because you could hold the rod from the inside. You could do it from the outside, but sometimes it's tight. Okay, the way you adjust a governor on a Tecumseh horizontal shaft engine like this is, you know that that link, that rod, has to rotate clockwise to hit the spool. So you want to rotate that link all the way clockwise, hold it all the way clockwise, then you push your throttle all the way open. So your throttle is all the way open. With your throttle all the way open and your governor shaft all the way counterclockwise, that's where you tighten it. That way you're at full throttle, the governor's all the way to the right, so it's hitting against a spool, and your governor link here is all the way full throttle. That's how you adjust the governor. Then you tighten that quarter and screw. Okay? So the governor in this case is clockwise till it hits the spool. So you go all the way clockwise with that bottom link and the rotation of the shaft. And then you also go push back on this lever link till your carb is full throttle, and then you tighten it. That's it. That's how you do a Tecumseh governor. All right. Basically, I'm just ready to put the pulleys on, then put it back in the Ariens. So I'm not going to bore you with the pulleys. So I'm going to put the pulleys on. I'm going to set it back in it, and we'll try and start her up. All right, see you in a bit. All right, guys. Well, she's all set. Let me show you everything. There's your linkage. Okay, I bent it around up top there because it wasn't bent before. It was sticking straight through. Going into the outer second hole. Governor's all set up. Belts are on. Pulleys are at the right spot. Always use anti-seize on your shafts when you put your pulleys on, so they'll come on and off easier. Set screws are all tightened. This was the funky one with the O-ring on that idler, but you know what, guys? It works. You know, it works. It actually works pretty good. So, I mean, if he wants to spend money on a new belt, he can do that later. But at this point, it works. And hey, let him do what he wants with it. So, what I did was I basically started it up, and then I set the high RPM after it was warm at 3,400. And let me show you that. Let's turn it up a little bit. Key switch on. Sometimes on these Chinese carburetors, there's no adjustment really on the low speed, so you got to adjust it. You don't want it to stall once it warms up, so you give it a little bit more. So, you know, you don't want it to go bang, bang, bang like a Harley, because remember, it's splash lubrication. You don't want to go too low on the RPM, but That's another repair done. I just called the guy up. I'm going to bring it to him at work tomorrow. But at this point, another repair done. The governor is in, everything's working. He should be happy. Now he has full throttle control and he won't have to rig it up like a mini bike anymore. So, all right guys, that's another good repair, and hopefully Monday we'll get paid. Talk to you guys later. Subscribe, like, get me up to that 1,000 guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.